Hello and welcome to Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Sean and Tracy. I am Sean.
And I'm Tracy.
And we are talking to you all that are 50 and fabulous.
And don't forget handsome.
And we want you to know that we want to get some education happening, some empowerment.
We want to grow with you. We want to learn with you. We want to see what you're doing, 50 and over.
So like, share, comment, follow, subscribe,
grab your
tea. All right. It's Tea and Cornbread. Hey, Trey.
Hey, Sean.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. How was your weekend?
My weekend was wonderful. If nothing else, the weather was beautiful this weekend for us.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It turned out because it was kind of cool yesterday.
You think so?
At the
my beginning. Goodness. I thought it was a
morning.
beautiful day.
I know.
You always a
I
little
like the
chilly,
heat.
though.
I like the heat.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is Tea and Cornbread with Sean and Tracy.
Yes.
We just love to have people that are 50 and over doing fabulous things. And so today is going to be another great conversation.
Yes.
And, one of our sister girls.
Yeah.
And what I love about this is, we never were disconnected. We stayed connected. But we haven't been around each other in a while. And then just like, Facebook kind of keeps us abreast of what people are doing and things like that. And how we, you start thinking about the back in the day and all of those things and stuff like that. So we are so excited about this conversation that's about to happen today. But we're going to do our usual.
Yes,
we're going to read our devotional. And then we're going to breathe, and then we're going to get on in the conversation.
Yes, we're going to welcome our
sister
friend.
Yes. So I'm reading from my Bible app on my phone today. It says, the verse of the day is, by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it, he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. So that means we shouldn't be working today.
But this is not work. Amen. This is fun.
Yeah,
this is what
fun.
we enjoy doing. This isn't work.
On the seventh day.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to breathe. I have clarity, which is my favorite. So what we do is we put one drop on our hand, and then I'll guide us through the breathing. And this should open up. I'm going to put it on your hand. It should open up your nostrils. Clarity calms our central nervous system. We're going to rub our hands together to conjure up some great energy. And the purpose of our breathing is to center and focus us for this conversation. So we're going to breathe in our intent. And we're going to exhale all that don't serve us. We're going to do it 3 times. Be careful. Don't bring it too close to your nose, so sometimes it'll burn your eyes. But, we're going to inhale through your nose, deep breathe, expand your belly, hold it for 4 seconds, and then release. And when you release, you're going to deflate your belly and basically bring it all the way through your belly button and hold that for 4. All right, here we go. Exhale through your mouth. And one thing I want to say is I want to do a short prayer for those that have lost some loved ones. Like we started our conversation behind the scenes about the loss we experienced in these last couple of weeks. And so I just want to say, God cover those families that were impacted by death. Give them peace and serenity and knowing that God is in total control. And with these things I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Mona.
What's
Good
up?
morning.
We have Simona Carter with us today. And I mean, we go way back. We go way back. We used to have so much fun in the shop. This is all about the shop talk. You know that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All about shop talk. And so one thing that I know about you for sure is you love the babies, right?
Yes.
And what I mean by that is your child, you love children, period.
Yes.
And you want children to succeed in all aspects of their life. You want them to be exposed. You want them to be protected. You want to make sure that their rights are covered.
Yes.
You know, when I think about the work you do, and just our conversations, we've had some deep conversations. You know what I mean?
When you think about it, you didn't think about them being deep at
Right,
the time.
right.
But when you think back on them, you're like, ooh,
Right, right.
when did I get that smart?
Exactly.
It
You
was
know,
always there.
You were
It was
always there. I think the things that that we do, because you have that innate ability, right? And when you have that innate ability, then you're born with it. It's something that you're born with. You know what I mean? Automatically, you know. And so I can't wait for us to like dive in. We're gonna dive in deep, but I want to read a little bit about what you do. I'm gonna kind of skim through it, and then I want you to just like go a little deeper, or
Sure.
you know, to say, you know, this is what you do. But she was born and raised in Waterbury, and she spent 25 years working in in the human services field. Has a degree from NVCC, Administrative Business Management, Development Family Studies from UConn, and currently working in the Department of Children Family Services, which I think is an awesome, like, trajectory for you. You know what I mean? From where you started to where you are now. That's just my own thought and opinion. She's involved in the Parent Leaders of New England, and through this group is able to provide support for families and community. Currently are working on a community project, which is to deliver laundry products. We're going to really talk about that too, to families in need. Okay. And then she says, I love this community and will continue to support programs in the community that are aimed at the strengthening of our families.
Yes.
Yay, yay, yay. I always press the wrong button.
We're going to switch seats. We definitely going to switch seats.
I'm going to put a mark on this. I'm always pressing the wrong button, but that's okay.
Mona, she
Still.
switched.
Still, it's all right. We
Switch the
clapping it
seats.
out. We clapping it out, right?
That was good, though. That was good.
So Mona, welcome to Tea and Cornbread.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And I have two of my favorite people. Tracy, I've known for a very long time,
Yes.
and just a good person. Sean, we are connected. It was great to find out we were connected when I had my baby.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's my baby's cousin.
Cousin, yeah,
And so
yeah.
it just kind of blends. And then I meet Kyle and Shy, and, you know, we've all grown up together.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You
yeah.
know, wood, walnut, you know,
Yeah.
that wow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
wow,
Right?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And so this, I don't know, I think for me, I was born into this. I didn't know it, but I was born into this. And I have to thank my mom for all of that. Everything that she gave my brother and I. We didn't have everything, but we had everything that we needed,
You need it, yeah.
you know. And so this is just a journey for me, and I'm just learning to take it at one day at a time, and learning to, the biggest thing I have an issue with is accepting compliments, accepting grace given to me by others. You know, I'm used to giving grace and
Yeah.
giving compliments, but I never accept them for them myself. So I'm learning that right
Yeah.
now.
So
Yeah.
I was about to say,
Go.
right? What we call it is we have those deflection moments. Like when someone gives you a compliment, we're learning to just say thank you, as opposed to saying the same thing back to them. You know what I mean?
Or
It's not
saying
that
a
you
negative.
don't mean it.
Because sometimes I say a negative. Her and Linda always say to me, accept it. You know, if
Exactly.
they give me a compliment, so I totally understand what you're talking about. I always got to say something negative, you know.
So yeah,
it's hard.
so
It's hard.
but we want to give you your flowers on tea and cornbread. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
That's what this is all about.
Yes.
It's about opening up to the community to see the faces that are doing things, in our community and in around the world because,
We
we're on
going worldwide
YouTube,
too, huh?
right?
Yeah.
But I think an important part is something you just said about growing up, all of us together, and it's funny because Sean and I are from Pearl Lake, which eventually ended up over in the Wood Walnut area as we got older, not just from hanging out and making new friends, but her grandmother was over there. My grandmother was on Oak Street. So we all do have that connection. And one of the things that I like about this podcast is we are talking to our people.
Our people.
And I mean our people that we grew up with, that
Yeah.
we went to school with,
Yes.
and we're showing our next generation the faces that are still in our community, fighting for our community. And as Sean was reading, and as I read, definitely all the things that you love to do with children. My first question would be, when did you know this was the path that you wanted to follow and continue on? Because your education and your history, you stayed 10 feet, 10 toes down
Right.
in this for 25 years, which is amazing to me. But as Sean said earlier, that speaks to you just loving what you do for the children.
Yes.
When did you know this is where you wanted to stay?
I can't say that I knew. All I knew is that I loved kids.
Yes.
For whatever reason. Growing up in that Walnut Wood Street area, we didn't have a lot, but we had neighbors, and they cared for us, right? And we had a babysitter that cared for us, and we used to walk to Walsh School, and if I was cutting up on that path, Miss Paris would be like, "Don't make me call Rhoda," and we would keep on walking.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that I ever knew, but I started to know probably about maybe about 14, 15 years ago. Really like deep rooted. I know I always wanted to work for the state of Connecticut. Remember when they used to have you go to Cheshire and take those tests and different things. And I never got in. And I used to kind of feel a little bad. But then I was like, well, maybe it's not my time. Maybe I need to do other things before this happens for me. And so I knew that it was very important to protect kids because of what was happening that wasn't being spoken about. What was important that wasn't being spoken about when it came to kids. And so I want to say, truthfully, when I knew it was important to me, really, my son was about in the 6th grade. And he was struggling with school. And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I was going over there fussing people out, getting kicked out of the building, doing all, because I'm like, you're going to teach my child. I don't know what's going on, but you're going to make it work. And so what I had to find that was very important, which people don't understand, is that you have to have a very good connection with your child's pediatrician, with your child's dentist, and anyone that's connected with your child. And when I started to see that there were people out there who were very connected to my child and who cared for what was happening to him. And so that's when I started to see that, okay, now you really have to stand up. Now you really have to fight. So I left a long career working for the bank and moved into education. It was financially, it was hard, but I can't tell you that I wouldn't have done it again.
Okay.
So I got into the school system. I started to see what was going on. I was starting to see what was happening with our kids. I was starting to see, different things. And I'm not going to say that the school administration was always wrong and the parents were right, or the parents were wrong and the administration was right. It was a combination. And what I found is that nobody was working together
For the kids.
for this benefit,
Right,
this
right.
one goal. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I kind of like this, and then I moved into the high school, and that's where it grew exponentially, because I was seeing what happened with these babies in elementary school. And unfortunately, you could predict they were going to be the same kids with issues in high school. And so when I got to high school, I was working with staff who really cared about the well-being of these kids. And that kind of pushed us along and had us digging into the community and digging into resources that weren't common
Right.
for our kids. And
Hold
they
on.
started to flourish.
Okay. So what? Give us a resource that's not common.
A resource that's not common is the Ungrouped Society. A resource that's not common, at least for children of color, is neighborhood housing. You know, they know housing authority, but they don't know if you go to neighborhood housing, you could buy a house. You don't gotta
Right.
rent.
Right. You don't have to
Right?
rent. Exactly.
They don't realize that if you go to Waterbury, the library, you can get discounted tickets for museums, zoos, and different things like that. But one of the groups that I greatly benefited from when I worked in high school was the Links.
The links. Okay.
They sponsored trips for my kids. They offered opportunities for my kids. I was able to do an after school program and also bridge with Sweet Maria. She taught my kids how to make cupcakes
Oh,
and
okay.
designs and different things like that. And so when we're talking outside of the box, those
That's it.
weren't very those
Right.
weren't
The norm.
school related
Right. Right. Right.
resources.
Right.
They were resources outside of the school that provided understanding
Exposure.
for our kids and exposure for our kids, right? I took the kids to the United Nations, 10 of them. They'd never been to New York, some of them, never been on a train. And when we got there, they were so intrigued. They met on, video, kids from Mexico and kids from, I believe, Somalia that were in school. And they were talking about what they were learning and different things like that. And what they said to us is that this was the best experience I've ever had.
That must have made you feel wonderful. Your heart was like
I was
filled.
just, they were like, Miss Carter, like, we love you. They see me in the community now. They drop everything. They run. They hug me. This the best lady in the world. and I'm not. I'm just a lady.
You are though. That's a testament to who you are to
Yeah.
them. That's
Yes.
important.
I mean, because the impact. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because impacts are lasting. Negative or positive, they're lasting, and you gave them a lasting positive impact by exposing them to something that nobody else would even think, because inner city, right? Or urban, whatever you want to call it, right? They just go by yesteryears, or
Yes.
you know what I mean, and they're not going to, we're not going to do nothing because these kids are not going to blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Where for you, you're like, no, we have to expose them.
Right.
And when you expose them to out of the box
Activities
experiences
or different things.
yeah, experiences, then they remember that, right? And you might have sparked the next president, you might have sparked the next person to work for the UN, because who thinks about the UN?
No one.
Right.
I know I don't.
Listen, it's hard.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard getting in, not hard, but all these checkpoints you got to go through.
Right.
But once you get past that checkpoint, that what they call the mall out
Yeah.
there is beautiful.
Wow. Look, I want to go on the trip.
I was thinking the
Okay.
same thing.
You know what I mean?
We want to go next time.
Exactly.
We wanna
We got some
chaperone.
kids to bring
Yeah.
a chaperone. No, because seriously though, even as adults, sometimes I've never been to the UN. You know what I mean? Never even thought about it, right? But if I been exposed to that,
Right.
I would have, maybe brought my kids or something, because I do museums and things like that with my kids anyway. But at the same
At that
time,
level, it's a different level
it's
of
a
what you're
different
doing
level,
with the children.
right?
Yes.
Because then they can go back in their history class or their economics class,
Right.
or whatever that is, and relate to it now. Now they can like connect
Yeah,
it.
I was
It's like,
gonna
oh, I
say,
know
it
what
connects,
right?
yeah.
Because it's not that they're just reading it
Reading
in a book
about it,
now.
yeah.
You know
They're
what I mean?
exposed
Or
to
taking
it,
a
yes.
test. Then they go, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
We learned this over there. You know,
Right.
type of thing. All right.
And so they have something called the United Nations Week, and you have to like when they have it, you have to like apply and tell them how many kids are coming or how many people coming or whatever, and then you can sit in on whatever they have going on. So that was a great experience, even for my own child. He went on that, and so when he graduated high school, he was like, "I want to go to California." I said, "With who?" Right? Because I've never gotten on a plane at that point in time.
Okay.
He was like, "With my friends." I'm like, "Okay." So his friends kept farting around. They weren't, getting their stuff together so they could go. So he was like, "I'm going." I was like, "Well, with who?" He was like, "By myself." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, make sure you call me." And he called me every step of the way.
Oh, so he did go by
He
himself.
went by himself.
Oh, okay.
And so when he got there, he was like, "Mom, this is beautiful. If I don't call you, I'm not hurt. I'm just exploring
enjoying it.
it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
enjoying
nice.
it."
Yeah.
And so on his way back, he called me. He said he was coming back or whatever. His friend was picking him up at the airport and different things like that. And so that was something that was sparked out of, things that I've exposed my kids to. And back then, I would send my kids on vacation, but I never went on vacation. So I existed, right? Because I was trying to make a life for them. Now I live,
Right.
right?
We talk about that all the time, though. It's our turn.
Yes.
It's our turn. But even what you just said, back in the day, that's what happened. 2 weeks, where'd we go? Down south and
south.
stayed with somebody down
Yep.
south, or vice versa. Somebody would come up here and stay with us. So our parents weren't going, but they were trying to expose us as much as they could.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, you gotta live. We
Yeah.
living.
My grandmother, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know nothing about traveling. My first time on the plane, I was 8 years old, going to Chicago to visit my cousins that now live in Vegas. And man, ever since then, it was like, oh, we got to go somewhere every year. We got to do something, because we did bus trips and all of that
Yeah.
too. So, okay, great. So talk about now that you're in the state, because you were like, I always want to work in the state, whatever. Now that you're in the state, right? Tell us, what is the passion that you have? How are you translating or transferring that passion that you have for the kids into now the families? Because you're dealing with families now, right? And tell us, what are you doing there, and how do you feel about it, and do you feel that you're in the right spot right now to make an impact that you have in your belly? Because you have a lot in your belly. You have a lot, right? And it's going to take time for
Yes.
it to birth or to sprout,
Yes.
right? And sprouting is just, you're what do you call it? Giving it fertilizer right now,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Planting the seed, and then it's going to sprout, then you got to take care of it. So tell us where you are in that process.
So I started working for DCF 5 years ago. And when I started, I came in as a trainee, and so I had some of the more difficult cases. And so because of those community connections, I was able to bridge services with these families, right? And so they were like, "Oh, Miss Simone, I never thought about that." Well, or that wasn't for me, but try this. And so when you incorporate things for family that are made for them, not things that they're forced to do,
Right.
because they're like, "Oh, that doesn't work for me." But you say, "Okay, I got this alternative," and they're like, "Oh," and then they start to work, and it starts to build them, and they start to feel better about themselves.
Right.
And you see not only them walking differently, but you watch their kids walk differently,
And that's so important.
right?
So
And so
important.
like, okay, everybody walking different, everybody back straight, head forward,
Feel confident.
no looking down. And then that's teaching them how to go out and look in the community for different things. Or they'll come back and be like, "Simone, I'm on my feet. There's nothing wrong. I remember you said this." And okay. and then you
Now you're
move
their
them.
resource. Now
So,
they're your
yes.
go-to. I'm not calling you because I got something happening. I'm calling you because I'm asking for
need
more
some more.
information, more
Yes.
details. Because I'm
Yes.
moving forward. I'm making steps to, all right, all
Making
right.
things better for me and my family. And so when you see them and like I said, they moving and they walking different and they, different things like that. And then they see me, they be like, oh my God, if it wasn't for her. And I stop them. No, if it wasn't for you.
You exactly because you had
You
to
had
you
to
had to make
want
the
it.
step.
Yeah.
You had to
Yeah.
take the step.
And so that is introducing them to the ungroup society, introducing to them to you. So now that I'm a supervisor at DCF, we had our Black History Month and we wanted to come up with a panel with different things because what we find is that some of the people who work for us, they don't live in Waterbury, so they don't know the resources. So when you bring people in to say this resource is out there, you give them pamphlets and different things like that, and they're like, "Oh, Simona, remember so and so came? Who was that?" We go back, we look for the information, we get it out there to them because not everything is for everybody,
Right. Right.
and something may spark them or whatever. I have people calling me and saying, Simona, you told me about neighborhood housing, you told me where it was, but it's something else. And I'm like, it's still neighborhood housing, they just changed the name.
Change the name. Yeah.
So they're going in there, they're taking financial literacy, they're learning the ropes on how to buy a home and different things like that. That's what makes our community successful. If you have strong families, you have a strong community.
Absolutely.
If you have strong community resources, you have strong families.
Yep.
And I learned that coming up again in the WOW section because we had new opportunities. That's where we got our jobs.
Yep.
That's where we got rental assistance or whatever it is that we need. So back in the day when I bought my house, New Opportunities had a program for first-time home buyers. I went in there, I saved my money, I did what I needed to do, and I was able to buy my house. So if I could do it, anybody can do it.
Anybody
But
can
I
do
think
it.
something that you keep saying too, and I love, you came into your job working at DCF and you exposed not only yourself but some of the people that you're working with to more education, more opportunities that they should be giving back to these families. That is awesome because a lot of us only know or think we know one side of DCF. You're going to take people's kids.
Right. Right.
So this is
Yes.
very important to hear you talking about that because it's more so of a stepping stone. It's not always here to smash you down, to
Right.
belittle you. It is also to educate you, to lift you up, to help you get to that next step. So that's an awesome, awesome thing that I'm hearing you saying. That to me is a transformation of what I know DCF or thought I knew DCF to be. So your success stories is awesome.
And don't get me wrong, like it was hard coming into this because when people found out that's where I went, I had people who I've been friends with for years say,
Why?
I don't know why you would do that. Why
Why?
would you do something like that? You know what
Yeah.
DCF is, you know what it does, and they literally stopped speaking to me.
Oh,
Wow.
But Sean, you know me.
Don't matter.
I could give a four-course
Right.
meal,
It don't matter.
okay?
Right.
But it was hurtful.
You know why? From what Tracy just said, DCF takes kids.
Yeah.
And that's all we know. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think of them, you think of them as a negative for families. You don't think of them as a positive for families.
Yeah.
And so they are probably thinking the same thing that others are thinking. Where
read about it.
You only think
Yeah.
that DCF is knocking on your door not to help you and your family, is to tear your family apart.
Right.
And that's probably why they were thinking like that. Like you were going to be on that side of taking people's kids, you know? But this is another reason why we have these conversations, right?
Yeah, you see,
where
you're
it
teaching
is
the other
more
side.
than, yes, you're teaching the other side,
the other
and
side.
you're, showing families. And I love that you keep saying families,
Yeah.
right? Because society is built on tearing the family apart so that they can control people. Don't care what nobody say. That's just my opinion, right? It's out there to tear the families apart. Now, our families, I'm gonna say this word. I'm gonna say it this way: ratchet to a point where sometimes, the kids are not in a safe environment. Right. And it's not the kid's fault. It's the parents' fault, yes. But sometimes when you got drug addiction involved and alcoholism and mental health issues involved, it's not even the parents' fault. But they don't know how to get out of it.
Yes.
They
And
don't have the
so-
resources or the help,
right.
so they don't know what to do.
Now, my grandmother was a foster mother until she was 80-something years old.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Forever, since I was 13. So everybody that came in my grandmother's house are my cousins. You know what I mean? And what I loved about her is she always made sure that they were connected to their family.
Yes.
She only had one person where the mother said, I don't want him. And she kept him till the day she died. Right? And, it was good. She raised him. But what I saw as DCF wasn't negative because I grew up with nothing but cousins that we inherited, right? But my grandmother made sure that they were connected to their family some kind of way. A lot of times, and I don't know if you know any part of her story or not, but I just remember them, saying to her, you can't do that, Miss Pierce. You can't do that. You can't drop them off at their mother's house. Because she used to drop them off if they said they wanted to go visit their brothers and sisters. If they wanted to just go to their mother's house for a little while, she would drop them off there. And they would tell her, you can't do that. And she was like, they want to be with their family. And it wasn't like she wasn't picking them up or whatever. And the parent appreciated that. So she went against the grain because she knew what family was about, right? So I had a different perspective than what she did.
A little bit though, because my grandmother did the same thing. She had foster kids, too. But I think I was so young, I didn't understand why they were there or how they got there. We didn't care. Like Sean said, they were a part of our family, and you see them now and they remember your grandmother?
Right,
blase, blase. But then even after that transition, as I got older, that's where I got that negative. Like, and I will speak from personal family experiences why I say that. I'm not saying that I was right, but I just love that you're giving us that flip side because it always has been a negative as I gotten older. You're reading it in the paper, what's going on down there, and not just in Waterbury. I think it's very important too. You just said that a lot of the workers are not within the community. I think it's very important that we do come from our community,
Right.
Because we understand it a little bit better. I think, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. I come from wherever I come from and come into Waterbury, I live differently. I walk differently. So I just come down here to do a job. It's, if you live here, you grew up here, you deal with people here, I think you just walk to a different beat. Like you're homegrown. So it means something different to you than it would mean to somebody else coming in from Hartford and I don't know. I'm just saying.
Just
you
from
understand what I'm
anywhere,
saying?
anywhere
Just from
outside
anywhere.
of.
I think it's just different. And not that they don't care. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not saying
of
that.
course.
But the thing also too that I think should be important when hiring people that have that authority, right, is their background has to have some type of experience where if I'm coming from a suburban area, never had any kind of issues, my parents raised me, but I just wanted to be a social worker because it's cool. Right? But you have no you have no real social or urban, and it's not just the urban, I find. It's not just the urbans that deal with it, right? But you don't have any experience for you to look at it in a way where it's like, let's look at all the variables, as opposed to, you're on drugs, you shouldn't be raising your child, I'm going to take your child out of there. Your neighbor called and said this, that, and the other, so I'm coming to get your child, right? I may be wrong if that happens or not. I don't
we
know.
may be, but
I'm just saying, right? So when I don't know what you guys go through as far as like the education piece, but I think, just like you said, if they have some type of real exposure experience where they can look at a family and look at all the variables before, and you may have to emergency take the kid out of a situation, right? But when you're looking at that and you go, I'm going to send this kid to California because we have no houses here now. You know what I mean? And I've known of people that went to California or any other state or even Puerto Rico to snatch a kid, right? and they're bringing them here, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. They're not telling me everything, whatever. But I'm saying to myself, if you snatch a kid from California and you bring him to Connecticut, do they have family here? Are they doing that because a family
Is it the right
is
thing for
here
the
or
child?
whatever? Right? Is it the right thing? But those people that have that, I'm gonna say it this way, that backhand notion of I know what's best because black people and brown people, y'all are all like this.
Well, that's what
right?
that book says.
You know what
And
I
again,
mean?
I'm making assumptions.
Right.
That's
Y'all
what the
are,
book
you
tells
know,
them.
this is why they're like this, and that's why we are here. And, you know, that attitude, you know what I mean? Having an attitude is what I'm getting at. Having that attitude about it and not really looking at all the variables that could be beneficial for this child. Because I know back in the day, the goal was it was supposed to be temporary.
Right.
Right. And to get the
Right.
families back together was really the goal, as opposed to snatching these kids and looking for people to adopt them. Or sometimes you're snatching them and putting them in a worse situation.
Right.
You know, in these houses that these people qualify to have kids, but then you put them in this situation and it's worse than where they were. So what do you do with that? Like,
So I think what we're really talking about, and this goes even for the school system, it's about people checking their biases at the door. When and that's human. That's for us as people.
Right.
We have to check our biases at the door. So you think about this, right? Think about it. This is how I look at it. When I went to elementary school and went to school, my teachers lived in the community,
yeah, yep,
right?
you're right.
Miss Hudson, Miss Reeves,
Yep, yep,
you know,
yep.
Miss Gilliam.
Yep.
They lived in the community,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And so they knew what we were facing. Now we have a lot of teachers, a lot of people who come from other places that come to work here. And the stigma around Waterbury is that
Oh my goodness.
they don't want any better.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
And so how do you change that?
Right.
How do you change that as a community? You change that by people checking their biases at the door. Even people who live here in Waterbury. When we say, ugh, I don't even know why I live here. And I can say I'm guilty of that too, to a certain extent. And it's not like, ugh, why do I live here? But when I go to the grocery store, I don't shop here. And not because I think I'm better than anyone or anything like that.
They ain't giving us the best food to shop
No.
for.
So that's why I go to other places. And also, I really don't like, sometimes, you know, people know that you work for the department and it's always something. And a lot of times I have my son with me. I don't want to encounter anything like
Right.
that. But where you're talking about, you know, going in and different things like that and how they remove kids, all of that has changed.
Okay.
And so we're very family focused.
Oh,
and because
nice.
I'm also family focused, it's not just a checkbox for me.
Okay.
It really is, can we find someone to care for these kids if we have to remove them? Or how do we help the family get through whatever they're going through so they can better, you know, provide for their family, be stronger for their family? Because without us, mother and father, whether in the home or out of home, if we're not together, our kids are not going to
Stressed.
be together.
They're
right?
stressed. Mhm.
So you think about Claudine, right? Remember
Yep.
Claudine?
Yep. She used to hide them when the
Hide-
snake came.
yes,
She was
yes.
hiding her man.
And so that right there, I think that could possibly have been
Why we think
why
the way we think
why we
about it?
think the way we think.
But wasn't that really going on? I know that was
Yes.
a movie, but that was truly going on to
It
where
was.
we couldn't, I wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
they had to survive having that second income in there, but the
couldn't
state
tell
wouldn't
it.
allow them because,
had
I
to
get
push
it,
that
it wasn't
man
her
out the
husband.
But they,
door.
and
but
she had to
right.
hide
I
him.
was getting ready to say
Yeah.
separating families.
Yeah.
We were just saying that, right?
Yeah.
But I remember us. We grew up in the projects, you know, and all of us had our mother and father there. You know what I'm saying? And so it changed. So when I went to apply for my apartment at subsidized housing and projects, when I went to apply for mine, they definitely was asking, where's the father? This, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. He can't live with you.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know when that changed, because when we grew up, our fathers were with us in the
Right.
projects. And you know, if Mr. what was his, I forgot what the man's name was from Housing Authority, but my
Black
mother,
guy,
yeah,
bald
yeah,
head.
yeah,
I-
yeah.
yeah, I know
He had
what
a
you're talking
toupee.
about.
He had a
Yeah.
toupee. I knew that.
Don't talk about toupee.
But I remember he knew my mother and my father. You know, so I knew there was, you know, there was no part like that happening when I was a kid. You know what I mean? But when I went for my own apartment, they made sure there wasn't nobody else living with me.
And that's where, you know, all of this comes from. That's where it all stems from. Again, we don't know because we don't deal in politics, right?
right.
Right.
We're not at those tables when they're creating these
Rules and
rules and
regulations.
regulations, right? And so I truly believe that in order for us to change things and make things better and build these strong families, we have to be at
in the
these
room.
tables,
Have
right?
to be in the room.
Definitely.
And so
That's so
that's
important.
that's why I participate in Parent Leaders of New England, because we have to have our own lived experiences out there so people see with these laws or policies that you guys are making how they're impacting families. You know, um, my younger kids, they see me and their dad together. My oldest son, not so much. But I can't tell you that I can tell you I was a single woman raising a child, but
I'm not a single
I
parent.
wasn't a single parent.
I used to say that all the time too. They would say you're a single mother, and I say first by choice, but I'm not a single parent.
Exactly.
The father is around. I'm just not married. We're just
Right.
not married.
We're just not in the same
We're not in the
household.
same house.
But
And
they
so
have their father.
You have
Yeah.
to be careful of your words.
Be very careful, because if you see my oldest son and his dad, you would have sworn I was never around. You know, right? And you see, and that's what it is. It's just like,
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
when we have these conversations, some people look at me like,
and
"Your
that's
kid's father around?"
right.
But again,
right.
check your biases at the door. And I think when all these laws and policies were made, especially like in the housing, oh, your husband can't live here, or your boyfriend can't live here, or whatever can't live here, their biases weren't being checked at the door.
Yeah. That you know, a funny story that happened to me one time with my youngest in middle school. I went up to the school because he was having some issues with a teacher. And it was another mother that seen it that called me and said, hey, you need to go check the school because X, Y, and Z just happened. And when I got up there and we were in the principal's office, he says, well, some of these young men don't have fathers at home and I have to act like a father figure. I think I did the exorcism in the office. The teacher had to ask him to leave the room. But I'm saying that to say they automatically assume that our young children do not have their fathers in their home, and that they need to step in. Honey, I can't say what I said. But,
Right.
that's why I say
wasn't
you got to
cute.
be careful and stop making assumptions. And I do want to say, I want to say something. I want to apologize really, really quick because I don't want you to think that was coming down on DCF. And I
No,
really
not at all.
wasn't. I was just trying to, honestly speaking from experience and from what I read, what I heard, and I've known people that have worked there. But I think what you are doing in the route that you're taking and trying to implement family, getting them educated is awesome. I just hope that continues and it gets contagious and it goes across the board, that
Right.
people are listening to you
Right.
because it's so important.
It
Like
is.
Sean said, the drugs, the alcohol, the mental illness, all those things are real. And we don't know what we don't know.
Right. And just because they have that doesn't mean that they don't
Less
deserve their
than.
children.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because regardless, those kids love their parents.
Yes.
And want to be with their parents
Mm-hmm.
by any means necessary, because I've experienced that myself. You know what I'm saying? In my family. You know,
Yes.
no matter what, we can raise our nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
We can raise our cousins' kids. We can do all of that every day, all day.
are not
but
their
we are
mother
not
and
their
their
mother
father.
nor their father.
Yep.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So,
Yep.
so go ahead.
I didn't believe me. I don't take offense to that at all, because I can't tell you what you experience, and that's the same thing I tell my families. I can't tell you what you experience. I can't tell you not to be mad at something.
Right.
I can't tell you that. That's your experience, and I cannot take that away from you.
Okay.
And I never do. And so, and that's just like, say you have a group of friends and two friends fall out. You don't really know why they fell out, but they're not talking. I can still be your friend and I can still be your friend.
Right.
But understand this. You won't disrespect her in front of me,
Right.
and
Vice
she won't
versa.
disrespect you in front of me.
Right.
Because I'm not in the middle. I
Right.
don't know what happened.
Absolutely.
You know what I
We
mean?
talked about this morning on a
and
different issue. Like that is so funny that you said that before
Yeah.
you got here. We
Yeah.
was talking about that. It's the same thing. We said we ain't in it.
yeah, exactly.
We ain't in it.
And so, and it takes a long time to get to that. And I see a lot of times I can say for me, I'm isolated from things because I don't pick a side. And if I said something about you and I said it to you and we talked about it and you're mad about it, I said what I said and I'm not sorry. I said it. I said it with my chest and conviction.
Look, like my daughter said to me one day, I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. She was 6, 7 years old. I had to snatch her up. But that's it. I said what I meant what I said, and I said what I meant.
Exactly. And so it's okay to agree to disagree.
Definitely. That's where we forget.
And we do.
We don't have to be on the same page.
Right. And we're individuals.
Yes.
Exactly.
We're individuals, and you have to accept someone else's
Opinions.
well, not accept their opinions, but accept what they believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to accept what they believe, and if it doesn't coincide with what you believe,
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. There's no love lost.
Yeah.
But it's just like you ever watch the interview with DMX, and he said, listen, you got to accept people for where they are and accept them for who they are. He was like, a snake is going to be a snake.
Right.
But you know it's going to bite you. So therefore, you respect that snake as a snake. And you treat that snake as a snake.
Right.
And so that's how I look at life. It took me a long time to get here. But I have to say, where I'm at, I'm happy. I'm not stuck, but I'm happy, right? And so I take everything, I take it as a learned lesson. Everything that I have done in my life, I've learned something from it. And as I learn from it and I move on and I grow and become better. And so I think now that's where it's coming in, where I'm now starting to accept compliments. And so, when I talk to people and they were like, oh, because I'm not going to tolerate that. And I look at them. I'm like, well, you accepted it because you tolerated it. From me, I'm not going to accept it. That means
I'm not tolerating.
I'm not tolerating
Right.
it. So what drives me now is the words that I choose to use. I don't use tolerate. I've never been allowed to use the words I can't from when I was growing up as a child,
All of
right?
us, right?
And so, and I started now, I don't accept the word failure, right? Because when you fail, that means you didn't even attempt.
Right.
But as long as you attempt,
Right.
you do it. You did it.
You did it.
And the other word that I no longer use is I tried. Because I did what I did in the situation. It may not have turned out the best, but I still did it.
Right.
Not that I tried.
I
And
did it. Yeah.
I did it. Right? And so
That's important.
it is.
Let's talk about that real quick, because words are powerful, right?
Yes.
And words change the mindset and also your vibration, right? And the energy. Words have energy, like you said. You just explained why you don't use those words and how you and how we use them. I challenge people, I'm always doing some type of challenge, right? I challenge people to think about that. It's like, think about the words that you say to yourself, right? And that you say on a regular basis, and how could you flip it, to a more powerful word, to a more futuristic. I'm gonna say the word futuristic for lack of a better phrase. And what I mean by that is a word that propels, not a word that keeps you stuck or a word that takes you back. It's not try. I did. Right? And if you did, you'll do it again.
Exactly.
And you'll keep doing it again. And the word fail, you're not going to fail, because if you fail, that means you didn't try, like you just said. So then you think about the word fear. right? And there's so many acronyms for fear, but the one I love the best is face everything and rise. And so, yeah, we'll have some fear about whatever, you know what I mean? So I try not to use the word, I'm going to try not to use try, but using the word fear. And so I think that's something that, you know, we as adults can teach our children this too, looking at words that propel, looking at words that are positive, that will move
Encourage,
you forward
yeah.
and empower and things like that, right? For yourself, there's a girl named is Toni Jones, Toni, on YouTube, and she does affirmational music. And one of her songs is called Talk to Me Nicely. And it's about the words you say to yourself about yourself and the language that you use and the conversations that you have and how you change it to make it better for you, where it uplifts you, like you said, uplifts you, and it just changes your vibration, you know, because words are vibration too. If it's negative, it's going to be a negative vibration. If it's positive, it's going to be a positive vibration, and you'll go forward.
And so I when I say that, like, again, when I said that, it took me a long time to get here. And during the pandemic, I decided that one, I would support Black businesses because they definitely deserve it. And when I talk about support them, I don't have to use their product, but I can turn someone on to that product, right?
There's all different ways to support.
Exactly. But I also had to make a very conscious effort not to tear down someone that looks like me.
Right.
Because we come for each other the hardest.
Yeah. I agree.
And I've had situations where I had to be like,
You had to pull
what
yourself
I
back.
just say, we got to do better.
you know,
That's the way I do it. And if it's a situation where I could impart something or talk to a person that may be, you know, doing something that's like, why? You know what I mean? I would say something. I'm quick to, you know, at least try to say
Diffuse the
something.
situation?
Not diffuse it, but make them aware. Because sometimes people are not aware that their customer service is off the chain. Where you know me, it's about customer service.
exactly.
Customer service. Without the customer, you have no service.
Service. Exactly. And so I work with people, and, you know, and I really had to learn how to practice this, especially for women who look like me. If I can't lift you up or give you an encouraging word, then, you know, we don't really have to say much. Even if we're not familiar with each other, or you reportedly have an issue with me, but you got a good product, I'm gonna push that product. Not because I need you to like me or need to turn the tides of the relationship, but because it's a good product.
Right.
But also in my personal life and talking to people, because you know I'm quick with it. Right?
Love it.
And
Yes.
so I had learned to not do that. It took a lot. And I mean, it took some biting the pillow not to just give it, right? Because what I know about us as Black women, when people need something pushed forward, they come looking for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No matter who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we may not benefit from what they pushing forward.
Right.
Right.
But if we think we could benefit from it, or other people can benefit
We're
from
gonna
it,
do it.
we'll push it forward.
Yeah.
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 So in we did the statistics on the fastest growing entrepreneur. The fastest growing entrepreneur is a Black woman. And that's been since 2017, I think it is. And then when COVID happened, it was like ridiculous.
It took
you know,
off
and
even more.
It took off even more. And listen, I want to say congratulations to all of those that had the courage to start their own business, take what they do in the kitchen out of the kitchen,
Yes.
and, you know, really do that, right? At the same time, take some business courses,
Yes. Yes.
go to networking events, learn how to do the back end. Learn how, not the back end, learn how to do the front end, because the back
Yes.
end we got down. We know how to make our product. Our
Right.
product
Yes.
is, the way it is, and like you said, if that product is good, I'm gonna do that. But if you just doing this, like for instance, this is not packaged great. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
This is
Right.
not packaged great.
Learn the other
right?
side of it.
Right.
Learn the other side of it.
But at the same time, it's a package, right?
Yep.
And you do what you do, how you do it. But if you're calling me and my website says I'm available this day, that day, or whatever, and you're calling me, you keep calling, and nobody's answering.
Bad business.
Right. And stuff like that. So, but we, as those that have been around for a long time or whatever, we have to at least impart some of that information. It's like, hey, I was trying to get in contact with you, but and I ain't perfect, just so y'all know. I'm not perfect. But when you say that, we're going to empower and we're going to encourage and we're going to support in all different types of ways. But at the same time, we have to do better. We have to figure out, okay, how do we figure out how to? Because a lot of times you don't know. Like for me, I didn't know. I opened up the shop. I just knew how to pay rent, put the lights on, get my product. Right.
But like you just said,
And-
it didn't stop you there. You went on and educated yourself
right.
how to do the
I would
front
drag
end, how
my,
to run the
my
business.
receptionist with me to these networking events and these free business courses, because there's
you
a
go.
lot of free business
Yep.
free business classes and things like that too. So we just have to learn how to do better.
Yes.
I want to hit on something before we wrap up.
Yeah.
You talk about your laundry projects for
right.
the families. I wrote that down too. What does that entail, and how did that get started?
So there's four of us. My girl Karina from New Haven, Miss Lena from New Haven, and Sir Mike from Middletown. So we're all a part of Parent Leaders of New England. But because we're here in Connecticut, we're Connecticut Parent Leaders. And we just happened to have this conversation. And I know when I worked in the school system, we had a closet. And the thing that the kids needed the most were laundry products, right?
Okay.
And so we were talking about possibly getting a bus, see if we can do like the Tide bus that went around during the pandemic and wash clothes for people, because we know that's a struggle for people.
Okay.
Right. And so we're still working on our bus and different things like that. But so I already started gathering products and because I work for DCF, and I work in the adolescent unit, we have kids who are like 18 and above, and they're transitioning in their life. And so they're like, I say to them, what do you need? They were like, I need something to wash my clothes.
Wow.
And so I have these
The
laundry.
things we don't think about
Right.
that our
Right.
people need. That
Because
is,
because we assume
awesome.
we know what they need instead of
Exactly.
asking the question. Okay.
Exactly.
And so that's how that came about. And I also, during the pandemic, Missy Barnes was doing Roadrunner Fitness, and we were walking different trails throughout Connecticut. And each time she would come up with a theme and different things, and we would donate to that and just get things moving. And so the truth of the matter is, I really admire Missy for what she was doing, right? Because what I had said to her during that time, I was struggling at that time. During the pandemic, we didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I didn't know how anything was going to translate for me and my family. And so when she started that walking, it started moving things, because there were like-minded women walking and uplifting each other, and there was no negativity. It was all positivity, and we were just moving and laughing and walking and coming up with ideas and supporting each other and different things like that. So I took that and was like, yeah, because we can get this done. We can support our own community by getting things that people need. Laundry products are ridiculous. The amount of money people spend on laundry products are ridiculous. So if we can help people who really need it, then we're going to give it to them. But like I said, we're still working on like our bus to go around to different events, talk to them about Parent Leaders of Connecticut, giving them, if they need laundry products, give that out. And maybe we'll do something different every month. I'm not sure. but we're still working on these things. But again, like you said, we're not perfect. Excuse me, and we have our own lives and we have different things going on. So we haven't met for the last 2 months, but we're still, we still in contact with each other saying we're okay, but we got this going on and we're trying to work through this, and we'll schedule a meeting and different things like that. So again, what people don't realize is that laundry products is a huge piece. And even when I worked in the schools, right, they would say, oh, so-and-so's clothes are filthy. And the truth of the matter is they weren't filthy. They were stained, but they were clean.
But they were clean.
But again, it's about checking those biases at the door,
Right.
and are you trying to help, or is this just something to talk about?
Right.
Right.
So if they would say, oh, Miss Carter, so-and-so's clothes are filthy, so-and-so will come and see me, and I touch it, smell them. They don't smell
Right.
bad.
Smell.
Just
They're
has
just
stain.
stained.
Yeah.
My kid goes to school with stained clothes because
I think I
I'm
might
not.
get one on my
Listen,
t-shirt.
I'm about to say,
Look, because I ain't buying no more right now. School over, right?
period.
And
It
that's,
happens.
and
Yes,
that's what
it
people,
happens.
you know what I mean? But also, you talk to parents, they're like, you ask them, what do they struggle with? Some food insecurities, but a lot of times sometimes there's a food insecurity because they had to buy laundry products.
Right.
And if you can alleviate that, let's alleviate that.
Right.
Plus me, I am the laundry queen. If I could wash people's clothes, I'm not washing your undergarments, but I will wash your clothes. And
Fold 'em,
if-
doing whatever.
No, I ain't folding.
Listen
I
to
said
Sean.
wash. you taking it too far.
Taking it too far.
Right? And so whenever I go to work, they like, Simona, you always smell like laundry detergent. Because your girl don't play about laundry.
Okay.
She just
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
But that's a passion of mine. I love to wash clothes. I'm not telling you I love to fold them. I'm not telling you I like to
Right,
put them away.
right.
I said I love to wash them.
Right.
I will wash them and put them in the dryer.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how that came about.
Nice.
So how can we support you? How could our audience support you with getting laundry detergent to you? What do they need to do? And I'm gonna speak for the co-op. Shout out to North End Cooperative Market. And how can we support you? And because you said it's only 4 of you, so that means you need people, you need manpower, right? Which is not easy to get. And also, we'll talk about that off camera because I have an idea. And
So right now, what I'm doing is just like taking collections of stuff. It's in my basement. If somebody needs it, they can hit me up on Facebook or whatever. I don't give out my personal phone number because of what I do in the community. I don't want folk.
right. Well, they can hit you up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're
Because I ain't there yet.
Right.
But yeah, they can hit me up on Facebook, send me a message. It's my name, Simona Carter. I don't change any of that. I do know that Mike was working on a Facebook page for us. And once that's up and running, I'll put that out there. And then, we'll be taking up collections for that. But so far, I've gotten in so far, I've given out to families in the community. So again, it will be Waterbury, New Haven, anywhere that we can get in and get some networking done. If we bring it to network events and different things like that, we'll bring some laundry products. If people need them, we'll give them to them or what have you. It's never like, this is a love, and so, people are like, are you concerned that people just say they want it just so that they could get it? I don't care. That's none of my business.
right. Period.
It's none of my
Right.
business. Right? If you
And they may be getting it for their neighbor.
It
they may
could
be
be.
getting it for
Yeah, but
somebody
there
that
we go again. Judging.
it doesn't matter.
If I'm doing a good deed, I'm doing a
doesn't
good
matter.
deed.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who needs it. If
Right.
if your friend is embarrassed to ask and you need
Right.
to ask for it, I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
Just ask for it. If I have it, I'm gonna give it to you.
Right.
Right.
And that's
As long as
just what it
somebody's
is.
using it.
That's it.
As long as
Exactly.
somebody's using it. Can you touch upon, again, you're in DCF, but you talked earlier about taking children elementary school, high school during these different events. Are you still doing that? And how do you?
No, I don't
Okay.
do that any longer. I was doing that when I was in the school system.
Okay.
I would like to, do that, but the ungroup does a lot of that. And so what I do is,
Participate
Laura and
in
I
that.
have a great relationship, and Rhonda, and, and so whenever they have events, I bring that
Participate
information
as much as you can.
to
Okay.
DCF, and I participate. I do whatever I can to move that along and get kids involved. In the wintertime, they took the kids to Hubbard Park. They had hot chocolate, they had gifts and different things like that. If you've never been to Hubbard Park in the wintertime,
Oh, it's amazing.
it's amazing. And that cabin that they have there is decorated with all stuff like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Heat Miser and his brother, and the Warlord. And
I'm feeling like a little kid.
Right? And so all of that is there. And so I have to give a big shout out to them. Arlanda Brantley does a lot of different things. And so even though, like I said, I don't participate because of my
connected in some
schedule,
way.
Right.
I make sure, okay, I saw this, screenshot it,
Right.
send it,
Send
it to
move it
everything and
along.
everybody.
Okay.
Because everyone in the community, they may not be doing the same thing,
They're doing something.
but they're doing
something.
something
Yep.
to make
That's
this
important.
community
Absolutely.
Yes.
better.
And our youth is so important, and we can't, we always say negatives, not always, but, it's always the negatives. We got to highlight the positive
Right.
and the things that people are doing in the community for them because it's out there. And
Yes.
again, I'm going to say it. If you don't know, you don't know. And hopefully things like this podcast, word of mouth, how you're doing it,
Yes.
people are learning about these activities and
And then you
getting their
could-
children involved.
And there's also a website. It's called Waterbury Black Community Calendar. Okay.
Okay.
Waterbury Black Community. Waterbury Black Community Calendar.
Okay.
They have a Facebook page and a website. So check that out. Let me make sure I'm saying it right because we were one of the organizers.
But that's the thing, like even the things that you guys are doing, I screenshot that, I send it forward because you never know who might need
Yes.
it, and they're just not saying they need it because they don't want you to think that they're in need, or
They don't know.
they don't know, or I don't really care for her, so I don't want her to think I'm using something she put out. Girl, bye.
Girl,
Sit
bye.
Well, you don't really
down.
need it then if that's where your
But
mentality is at.
exactly,
Yeah.
sit
Girl,
down,
bye.
go
And you know
somewhere.
what? And you can. There's so many ways that you can get what you want and need without nobody knowing it's you. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It pass the information on to the next person. And
But that's what we fear the most.
okay.
We fear if we pass something on to the next person, they're gonna do better than
They're going to
us.
have one up on us. Well, then
Well,
you're not
you-
doing it for the right reason then, because if I pass something on to you and I know you need it, I'm not going to be jealous that you're able to get it or do it before me.
Right.
Well,
But
Well,
you
I'm,
know
I'm
what?
not. I'm not. But I get
right,
what
I
you're
was gonna
saying.
say.
I
But
get
if
what
you
you're
think
saying.
about it too, right? If we think about, that's always gonna be. That ain't going nowhere. That's always gonna be. And so that's why it's individual, right? What you're doing is amazing, and it doesn't matter if they like you or not. You are doing it for others. You're not doing it for yourself. And same here. Everything that we do, we're doing it for others. We're not doing it for ourselves. We may not be able to participate in person at everything or whatever, but best believe we're sharing those things. Facebook is not the only place you share.
Yes.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm always texting somebody, like you said, screenshotting something and texting it to a bunch of people and things like that. And it's not about tell them that Sean sent you unless it's a
Right.
referral for something.
Yeah.
So I want them to know that, you know what? Yeah. And I'll get more, to them. But other than that, it don't matter.
Yeah, I don't
You know
want to
what
be
I
in
mean?
competition with Sean.
At all.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't
Why?
want to be in competition with
No.
Mona.
But
because
you know
I
what?
love my people.
Competition is competition's gonna be there anyway.
Well,
right?
competition can be fun and it can be friendly, but when it gets
Right.
to the point where I want to have one up on you is where
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
that's what I'm
We're
talking
not
about.
doing that.
I don't want to. Sean got a new car. Oh, I wanted a new car. Why? I don't like her new. You understand what I'm
It's
saying?
just
That's
stupid.
to me is just
People
petty.
just stupid.
And we have to grow. We have to learn, and hopefully, us having these conversations, we're reaching other young men and women to know that. You're not in competition with your family members. You're not in competition with the next door. What we used to grow up the name you can't keep up with the Joneses.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Like,
but you know
right
what?
to that.
And then if we think about this too, what I love and what I feel about what we're doing and how we're doing things now is we're bringing that village back.
Yes.
Definitely.
You know what I'm
well,
saying?
I don't think we ever
'Cause-
lost it. I don't think
No,
we ever lost
individually
it.
we haven't,
Individually, no.
but as a whole,
Collectively,
yeah, as a
yes.
whole,
Yeah.
that's the reason why we created the Waterbury Community Black calendar, and Waterbury Black Community Calendar is the name of
Mm-hmm.
it, and that's the reason why we created that, because there's so many organizations doing so many
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, 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 great things, and you can go to there, and and the Facebook page is just blowing up. People just keep sending stuff. There's so much stuff in there. And it's hard to keep up, right? But
That it
you
is.
know what I mean? It's hard to keep up, but you can add your stuff and you can look at it and share it and do whatever you need to do with it. But it's about that, because these are all community organizations helping our community, like literally. You know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form, and acknowledging. Like yesterday, they gave away scholarships. The old school gave away scholarships yesterday, and that was amazing. I couldn't be at two places at two times, but I think North End Co-op was represented there though. But still, at the same time, that's the reason why we're doing this podcast too. And we're fortunate to stay connected with the people we grew up with that are doing wonderful, wonderful, amazing things. And if you are somebody that has something to talk about and you're 50 and over, we may change that a little bit. We kind of like
we waver, we teeter-totter on the 50
a little
and
bit,
over.
a little bit. But if you have something that is going on that you really want to, more people to know about, come on down, call us, email us at 50thepodcast.com. Nope, 50thepodcast@gmail.com. That's what it is. 50thepodcast@gmail.com. You have to slow down.
That's okay.
And Simona, tell us, what else do you have going on? How, and you already said it. You can find her at Simona,
Carter.
Simona
Carter at
Facebook.
Facebook.
On Facebook.
Yeah, because I don't know all of these.
You don't even have to worry about
TikTok
it.
And
All
I don't
that
know
extra.
all of that.
But you
Right?
can find
You
her
and
on
me
Facebook.
So-
Message her on Facebook.
Yes.
There you go.
And, if you have any questions, or if you have families in need,
Yes.
you know what I mean? If you have families in need, or if you maybe have an idea to help the kids, that might be something too, right?
Yes,
I'm just
because
assuming.
I'm always looking for ideas of how to do things. I don't really have a lot of time, but I'm always looking for people that have ideas to help the kids.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a good relationship with Warren, so he's always funneling things my way. To get out into the community for these kids. And some people, they're like, "Oh, Simona, I forgot I knew you, blah, blah, blah." And
Right.
they'll give me something, even the young lady, her name, she was just on the Jennifer Hudson show, and her name is Sanaa, and she has a group called Unashamed.
Unashamed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful young lady helping the kids in the community. Just her story is powerful, right? And so she just did like a prom gown giveaway, and different things like that. So she's always working in the community, getting these kids up and moving and educating. And so I'm always looking for, because back in the day, Naugatuck Valley used to have, they used to do
Summer
bus
programs.
bus trips to the Bronx Zoo or different museums and different things like that. They used to have a lot of, but we don't have that anymore. Because I know my oldest son participated in everything
Yep.
they had going on, and even in the school system, as a parent, you may not like the school or what's happening in the school, but don't block out everything that they have going on.
Yeah.
Because my middle son was able to participate in numerous activities that made for a good life, a good experience for him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because at that age, they don't know what they want or know what they want to do.
Right.
They're just
And we have to make them go.
I was going to say, they
Yes.
know what they don't want to do. They don't want to
Exactly.
do this
We
and
have
do
to
that.
make
We have
them
to,
go.
yes, you have to tell them
that's
to do it.
me
You're
as
going
a-
to do this.
Yeah, that's me as a parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you going.
Yeah.
Period.
You're not telling me.
I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so with my little son, I've learned so much more since my first to the little one. he's always telling me what he wants to do. Now his thing is golf.
Okay.
And so, my guy George Hayes is like, I got him. And he texted me last night. He said, check your messages. And so he's gonna take my little one under his wing,
Nice.
help him with the
Nice.
golf
There you
thing,
go.
because I don't know what's going on.
Right,
There you
right.
go.
But
That village
again,
again. Opening it up.
Exactly.
Using
And
your resources.
I know George and I trust George.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's opening up, and getting these kids
Exposure.
exposed.
Definitely.
You know
That's
what I
where
mean?
Granville comes in.
Yes.
Granville, they
I
did
still
a
move
golf
that.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where that comes in. Like you said, you mentioned earlier, the Lynx is a big supporter for you
Yes.
guys. The Ungroup, and there's so many different organizations
But
out
your
there.
calendar, like you
that-
said,
Yeah,
your
but
calendar
you
has a
guys
Go
lot
to
of
the calendar.
information.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
you'll see, I'm pretty sure if you see at the co-op, you see a lot of families coming in there.
Yeah. Well, the co-op, we don't have a brick and mortar store, but the things that we're doing. So, like for instance, today we're gonna have a table at the Double Dutch event that's happening, and they're gonna see it after today. But there's a Double Dutch event happening that's hosted by Free Her, Tanya Smith, and her daughter's name is Randy Smith also. They at Free Her is a campaign for women that are incarcerated, and trying to
Helping
free
to get
women
them
that are
reformed and everything.
and things like that. So they're doing a Double Dutch event today at
Okay.
Waterville Park. So we're going to be there.
What time?
3 to 6.
3 to 6.
I might have to pull through.
Pull up. We'll be there.
Absolutely. So
We'll
yeah,
be there,
those
tea and
days-
cornbread.
Yes, yes. So Tea and Cornbread, North End Co-op, and New Path Wellness Group
Okay.
will be there, and so those are the things that we're doing. What I would love to do is a cooking class, and I've talked to Warren about this, but that was my fault. I dropped the ball on following up with that, so I'm going to revisit that and get back to that. Because even if we do it for one day, because originally I want to do it for like a series type of thing, but we do it for one day, that's even better. I mean, that's something to
And the
expose them
babies
to.
show up.
Yeah,
Let me tell you
they do.
something. Warren put something on and the babies
Show up. Yes,
They show
yes.
up.
So I'm
telling
thinking,
you.
this is something that'll be good. Teaching them how to do juices because it's
Yeah.
summertime and things like that. So yeah, so that's yeah. Don't
Yes.
mind me. I'm brain dumping
Look,
right
I'm
now.
reeling her back in.
Listen,
I'm reeling
right,
her back
right. All right. But listen. This has been a great conversation.
Yes.
We went over our time, but it's all right because it
Yes.
was
Good-
important.
good
And
information.
it's important and it's necessary. We're gonna have you on again. We gotta have you on again.
listen.
And don't forget us when you want to get the word out for things.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
definitely.
And let us know what we can do. Not just
Yes.
get the word out. What
Yeah.
can we do
Right, exactly.
to help you?
To help you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Exactly.
So again, once my group members, they have a lot going on right now, and they're trying to get that settled. So
But
we
you're
can
still
come back
collecting.
in. But we're still collecting. And I know my girl Karina from New Haven, she definitely will come through.
Okay.
Because she has, she actually has a lot going on her, and she has she has a organization, Mothers Against Violence. She's had some significant events happen in her life that that prompted her to do this. And even though I know her, we talk all the time, I didn't realize until one day I was getting my son ready for soccer, and my favorite show, TV1, was on, and it was talking about an incident that happened at one of the colleges, and it was about a young lady who was murdered by her boyfriend. And I hear this voice, and I'm thinking maybe my son answered my phone, and so that's Karina. But it was Karina
On the show?
on the show,
Oh, wow.
and it was her baby.
Oh.
And so I called her, and we cried on the phone, and I said, I knew you had a story, but I didn't know your story. And so she said, yeah. And I was like, ooh. And so, she's a powerful woman, and she's strong.
So we got to connect.
So
we got to connect.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
she's one of the team members, and when I say she's a powerful lady, and even Sir Mike, he got a story too. Powerful man out
So
of
we got
Middletown.
to have you. We had to have the three of you on to talk about, the parent.
Yes.
What is it again?
So it's we fall under parent leadership of New England.
Okay.
But we're Connecticut parent leaders.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah,
so-
we gotta.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We gotta definitely.
And so, like, even Miss Lena, she got a story too, and she does a lot more on the for families who have children with disabilities, and so that's kind of her specialty. So we all have our specialty, but we work together so well. And so, like I said, those are my people. Those I love them.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. All right.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
again,
This
and
was
shout
awesome.
out to Rhonda Hunter from the
Gatlin Hunter.
Group.
Thank you.
And Be More, her business
Yes.
is called
Yes.
Be More. She made our T-shirts. Look out for some merch coming soon.
Yes, yes.
All righty.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank
Mona.
you again.
Thank you.
All right.
This was such an opportunity.
Yes. It's just the beginning.
Yes, it's just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
All right, y'all. So
Thank
we will
you.
see you next week. Have a
Wait,
good
don't
one.
forget to like,
Share,
share,
and
subscribe.
subscribe.
Come on, people, subscribe. It costs
Yeah.
nothing.
We are
Subscribe.
we're over 100 people. Yay!
Yay, thank you. And if
Share
you
it.
have any comments or questions,
Yes.
please put them in.
Yes,
Put 'em in.
absolutely. All right.
Thank you. Have a good
one.
day. She got it right, y'all. She got it right.
Our T-shirts. Look out for some merch coming soon.
Yes, yes.
All righty.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank
Mona.
you again.
Thank you.
All right.
This was such an opportunity.
Yes. It's just the beginning.
Yes, it's just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
All right, y'all. So
Thank
we will
you.
see you next week. Have a
Wait,
good
don't
one.
forget to like,
Share,
share,
and
subscribe.
subscribe.
Come on, people, subscribe. It costs
Yeah.
nothing.
We are
Subscribe.
we're over 100 people. Yay!
Yay, thank you. And if
Share
you
it.
have any comments or questions,
Yes.
please put them in.
Yes,
Put 'em in.
absolutely. All righty.
Thank you. Have a good
one.
day. She got it right, y'all. She got it right.